Hello everyone and welcome back to our emergency series. It's May 22, Mayday 22. So today we're talking about losing elevator authority and control. So now this is one of them that we're glad doesn't happen very often, right? But it does happen. So the reports are, it goes something like this. You're flying along, you hear a bang, maybe a pop, and then the pitch of the aircraft changes. So you go to correct the pitch, but the yoke feels light, right? It has no resistance. It's kind of like when you're on the ground in the run-up area, making sure your controls are free and correct, there just isn't any resistance. So if this happens to you, well then what do you do? Now fortunately, most training aircraft have two cables running to the back of the aircraft with the elevator. One for pitch up and one for pitch down. So in most cases here, you should only lose one direction, assuming the now broken cable hasn't jammed up something else, right? And fortunately, the elevator trim is also a different system, so both up and down on the elevator trim should work. So the situation isn't maybe quite as bad as you initially thought. So the first step then is to determine what you actually lost, right? Was it up or down elevator authority? Which direction is lost? You can confirm that the trim still works in that direction. Also, you have the thrust, right, to help manage your pitch. So for level flight, you should be okay to manage with the trim and then also the power setting. And then before landing, you would want to practice changing the pitch attitude so you know roughly what to expect as you come into land, right? So as you are flaring, it seems to be better if you can change the pitch attitude by releasing or applying pressure on the yoke, since that's what you're used to, instead of going into the flare and spinning the control wheel like crazy to try to set your landing pitch attitude, right? So let's look at two different scenarios then. So the first one, let's say you've lost down elevator control, meaning you push forward and nothing happens. So what can you do in this case? Well, you can apply nose down trim, right? Then you can pull the nose back to maintain altitude or to climb. Then of course, releasing the back pressure would cause the nose to drop again to descend, right? So by your normal instincts, you can control the pitch of the aircraft. Now the opposite, of course, is if you lost elevator up control, right? In this case, you would apply nose up trim and then push the yoke forward to maintain altitude or descend. And then when you are beginning to round out and wanting to flare, you would release the back pressure to achieve a nose high pitch attitude. So this would probably feel a little bit strange. Now you wouldn't want to fly a very long time by like constantly having to apply force, right? Just to maintain a level altitude. That would get tiring on your arms. So for your en route portion, to an airport, you probably want to continue to, trim out for a level flight. And then as you get ready to make your approach, then you can trim in the direction that you lost your elevator control in, and then apply more or less pressure then to manage the pitch. And then lastly, right, you still have the power available, which can assist with pitch changes as well, right? Most training aircraft will have a thrust line below the CG. So when power is applied, you'll get a nose up pitching tendency. When power is reduced, and then the nose will drop, right? So you have a few different ways to control the pitch of the aircraft. Now for a total elevator failure, right? The tools you still have available is the trim, and is the power, and then the flaps, right? So this does limit your options further, but still does allow for some limited handling of the aircraft. So these are the tools that you have to work with. And then when you're ready to land, of course, you want to find as long of a runway as possible or a field, as reasonable to give you the most time and options, when you come into land. So is there anything that we can do to prevent this from happening in the first place? Well, other than performing your pre-flight checks, doing your full forward, full aft, making sure the elevator is working pre-flight, there probably isn't a whole lot you can do. Now, if your aircraft has recently come out of maintenance, then you would probably want to double check and confirm all the control wheel movements that everything is free, correct, and proper. So day 22, elevator failure. I hope this one doesn't happen to you, but if it does, you have some tools in your toolbox now to help bring the flight to a successful landing. So thanks everyone for watching today. Fly safe. I hope to catch you again tomorrow on May 23.